My next guest is climbing mountains to empower women. Raha Moharrak is the first Saudi Arabian woman to have summited Everest. In fact, you have summited all of the 7 peaks. Congratulations.
Missing
Denali? Are you missing Denali?
2 miles from Denali, so I'm going back this summer.
Okay.
Hopefully. So
you'll come back when you finish.
Positive energy in June.
Yeah, and you're raising funds for that.
Yes.
Raha, it's a pleasure to meet you here in the Toyota Solutions studio. Talk about why. Why do you summit these peaks? Because it must be about more than just the personal sense of accomplishment you get at the top.
You know, people ask me why mountains and why climbing. It wasn't an idea I had. It was a purpose. It didn't feel like I was doing something for fun. I was doing something to survive, if that makes sense. So I was at a time in my life where, in my culture, I was expired. I reached an age where I should have been married.
Expired? What
well,
age does that happen?
Every family has a different
expiration
cutoff time.
Okay.
And my family was at 25, 26, and they were like, you know, you really need to come back and focus on be reintegrated into the culture, because I was living in Dubai.
Okay.
So I was out of the culture and I wasn't getting suitors. So my family really wanted me to start thinking about this seriously.
About finding a husband.
Yes, and I just, when that conversation came to me, I was just like, this is not what I'm meant to do. I don't want to just stop my life and wait for Prince Charming to come and sweep me off my feet. I don't want to do that. I would love to get married one day, but I don't like the system. So. Yeah. I had to quit my job, and as I was moving back to Saudi, I had some time off. I had like a vacuum in my life, and I said, I need to do something. I need to do something, anything different. And I kept searching online, and I kept asking people, what are you doing? And I had no idea what I was looking for, but I knew that I was destined for more than just waiting for this guy to show up.
Yeah.
And then randomly one day, someone said, I'm climbing Kilimanjaro over the holiday. And as soon as she said that, I turned around to her, and I was just, it just rung in my ear. I was like, what's Kilimanjaro? She's like, oh, it's the highest peak in Africa.
Yeah.
And this little flame in my heart just exploded. I'm like, climbing. It's sporty, it's outdoorsy, it's dangerous. Perfect.
I like this.
I found it.
Yeah.
So it was a complete fluke, but it was an answer to a question. I kept asking myself, am I destined for more than what was the paved path for me? So
you trained and you did it. And
Kilimanjaro barely, like it was from decision to climbing was less than 2 months.
Yeah.
So thank God I have a sporty background. Thank God.
You do. Okay, so talk about that, because I know that part of your advocacy work now is to talk about women in sports in Saudi Arabia. Are those is that an equal opportunity thing where you're from?
Unfortunately, we still have a lot of reserves when it comes to girls participating in sports. We are not allowed to do sports in public. Sports in school stops at a specific age. It's improved in the last couple of years, where we now have permits for gyms, for female gyms, as opposed to a few years ago or a few months ago. But I still think that we are really slow in implementing something that can save young girls' health.
Okay, talk about that, because I read some statistics that showed that obesity is a real problem among Saudi women and girls.
We don't have the official numbers. I'm not an expert in that, but it's not a very promising number in terms of obesity, brittle bone problems, vitamin D deficiency, diabetes, because everything is correlated with being active and sporty.
Sure.
So when you raise a child, a female, to believe that sports is only for boys and it's inappropriate and you shouldn't, then she's not going to be very active. And then she reaches her teens and decides to join a gym, but the damage is already done. You can try to catch up, but you'll never be able to instill the love of a sport in a child unless you catch them really young. So it's one of my dreams is to, by the time I have kids, inshallah, one day, hopefully girls or boys or whatever,
inshallah, yeah.
Inshallah, whatever God gives me. I want them to have equal opportunity in the sporting field, because even if in sports we don't treat them equally, we are setting them up to...
Can you raise a daughter in Saudi Arabia, go back, if that's what you decide to do, and do you envision that things will have changed enough by then that she will be able to participate in sports publicly and throughout her schooling?
I'm banking on that. I really hope by the time, I hope I'm not too late. My mom's going to kill me, but I really hope by the time I do have kids, we would have improved a lot of the problems. My issue is that there's a lot of problems in the world when it comes to inequality for women. This is one that we can fix. There's a lot of problems that are very complicated, very culturally rooted.
Sure.
Don't even start about the driving issue. There's a lot of things that need to be addressed. But a lot of them are very, very difficult to untangle.
Sure.
But some things as simple as sports in schools, when schools are already segregated.
Yeah.
Schools are already segregated, then why not?
So what you're saying is because the laws already require that segregation, girls should be allowed to play sports.
And if families have problems, if families have issues, it can be by choice, whether or not you want your daughter to do or do not do sports. It needs to start somewhere. I don't think it should be a big shock to the system. I think it should be gradual. But we need to start somewhere. We really need to start somewhere.
All right, talk about Everest. And,
what would you like to know?
Well, I mean, what was it like? I mean, first of all, to train for it, and then obviously to reach the top.
I mean, looking back now, I wish I was like a chess player or a ping pong player or something. I mean, I live in the desert and I fell in love with high altitude glacier climbs. I mean, come on. Looking back now, I think I wish I would have picked something. No, I take that back. I love what I do, but it's kind of odd that from the desert and I decided to go. Yeah. So imagine when I had to train in gear and in boots.
Yeah.
It was very difficult.
Like, you were training in Dubai.
No, I was in Saudi at the time.
Okay.
I was in Saudi. I moved back 2 or 3 years ago.
So you were training in the desert of Saudi Arabia for a Mount Everest climb.
For Mount Everest climb. And all I had were my boots, my backpack,
yeah,
a garbage bag, and a scale. And I kept adding weight, and that's how I needed to train myself, so I did.
And that was it? That was enough?
No, of course I did a lot of strength and conditioning and stuff. I educated myself. I went online and I asked people. Yeah. But I remember we had, our holy month Ramadan. The first day of Ramadan is like everybody gets dressed in a traditional thobe, and I showed up with my La Sportiva yellow high altitude boots. And I walked down the stairs and I could see my parents. They just looked at each other and my mom's like, oh.
That's a great story.
Yeah, yellow boots, La Sportiva, triple boots. They're this
Were
big.
you fasting?
Yes, I was
during that
fasting.
training as well?
Well, I was baking in my boots.
Okay.
And it's too hot to wear these boots in the desert, so I was wearing them in my mom's living room.
All right. Well, that is training, if nothing else. Okay, so what about the journey and the climb up?
This was all physical training. Now the emotional and mental training.
Sure.
The emotion of asking my parents to climb is by far one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. Because I could see them looking at me. Why? Like they were just,
yeah.
Why do you want to do this?
Yeah.
And one of my favorite stories is I was showing a video of a very difficult climb. I had windburn and I was showing my parents this video. My mom couldn't finish the video. My dad just closed the laptop and looked at me and said, I don't understand why you do this to yourself, but I understand that you need to. And that's the moment where I won them over, and because they could see I would wake up in the morning and train. It wasn't easy to put all the gear on and train and to miss my friends' weddings, to miss it was a lot
of a real commitment.
And they could see it. So in the end, my parents loved me far more than conformity, and they realized that I was destined for more, even though they had no idea what I was doing or why, but they accepted that that's my choice in life.
When you reached the summit, thoughts, feelings? Did you have feeling?
Oh yeah.
Or was it too cold to have
Pandora's
feeling?
box. No, I was everything. But to be very, very frank, all I could think about was flag, baby shoes, my nephew's shoes. Oh my God, I really stink. I need a shower. Maybe 4 burgers and like 3 pastas. And 96% people die on the way down on Everest.
Yeah, how do I get down?
How do I get down?
Yeah.
So everyone thought it was an amazing moment. I felt so grand and so small, but I really, really wanted to go and have a shower and eat. Yeah. Because I felt like a 6-month-old.
So it's not like this moment of,
No, it was.
Yeah.
It was. But the majority, the first.
But it's also pragmatic.
Yes, but I got there and I was like, this is so beautiful, this is amazing. Oh my God, is that my smell? Like, it was horrible. But standing up there, what hit me the most is that I'm a girl from the desert. I was born in the sand, yet I managed to literally touch the sky at some point in time. I'm a Saudi woman that stood on top of the world. This should not be the epitome of what Saudi women do. They should be able to ride bicycles. They should be able to train. We should have more Olympic golds than Everest summits, in my opinion. So I really hope that my little climbing escapade does not crown sports for Saudi women. I want it to look minuscule, so hopefully one day some girl comes up to me and says, you know, I won gold because of your story. I would die a happy woman, even if I was like 100.
Well, it sounds like you have your sights set on the next summit for you.
Denali, hopefully.
And the empowerment of all these Saudi girls.
Thank you so much.
Raha Moharrak, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having me.
much.